In this video, I'm going to try to quickly work our way through the values of tangent around the unit circle. So these are our three main reference angle triangles that we placed throughout the unit circle in the previous video. And we established that the value of the x-coordinate of each of these represented the cosine, and the value of the y-coordinates represented the value sine based on those reference angles. Well, one thing we know with general trig is that tangent of theta is equivalent to the opposite over the adjacent, our TOA ratio. So if we did that with these, we can see that for like 30 degrees, opposite over adjacent would be 1/2 over root 3 over 2. Well, the 1/2 represents the y-coordinate, which is sine, and the root 3 over 2 represents the x-coordinate, which is cosine. So we can not only represent tangent as opposite over adjacent, but we can also say that tangent theta is equivalent to the y-coordinate, the sine, over the x-coordinate. Because again, this represents opposite, this represents adjacent. So we can say tangent is equivalent to the sine of theta over the cosine of theta, which is one of our trigonometric identities. So this is going to be a big deal moving forward for you. All right, so tangent is equivalent to sine over cosine. So if we look at each of these triangles, we can figure out the arithmetic to get the values of tangent for specific reference angles. So for our 30-degree reference angle, the tangent will be, again, the sine, the y-coordinate, over the x-coordinate, so 1/2 over root 3 over 2. This looks hideous, okay, but it's not too bad. This is just saying 1/2 times the reciprocal. If we're dealing with division, we can make it multiplication by flipping the fraction here. So 1/2 times root 3, the reciprocal of root 3 over 2, which would be 2 over root 3. The 2's will cancel. We'll be left with 1 over root 3, which will end up being root 3 over 3. So the tangent of a 30-degree reference angle is going to be either positive root 3 over 3 or negative root 3 over 3, depending on the quadrant we are located in. So you can see in quadrant 1 it is positive because you got a positive divided by a positive. In quadrant 2, that value will be negative because you have a positive divided by a negative. Again, sine over cosine. In quadrant 3, it will be positive because you have a negative divided by a negative. In quadrant 4, that value for the 30-degree reference angle will be negative because, again, negative divided by positive. Okay? So that is for our 30-degree reference angles. For a 60-degree reference angle, it's going to end up just being the reciprocal here. And what we will do, again, is do the y-coordinate, or the sine, root 3 over 2, divided by the x-coordinate, or the cosine, 1/2. Okay? What will happen here, again, we can switch it to multiplication and take the reciprocal of that value in the denominator, so that'll be 2 over 1. And this one's easier, it just becomes root 3 over 1, or root 3. So all the values for a 60-degree reference angle and tangent will be either plus or minus root 3, which we can see here. So you look at your 60-degree reference angles, I have those in yellow. In quadrant 1, positive root 3, positive over positive. Again, negative here because you have a positive divided by a negative. Positive down here because it's a negative over a negative. And negative here because it's a negative divided by a positive. The easiest of these for tangent is the 45-degree reference angle, and that's because these two coordinates are identical. So if we did this divided by that, anything divided by itself is equal to 1. If you do root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2, again, anything divided by itself is equal to 1. So tangent working your way around for a 45-degree reference angle will be equivalent to either positive or negative 1. And again, the signs showcase that here in quadrant 1, positive 1, negative 1, positive 1, negative 1. The only values of tangent that are left are our quadrantal angles. And again, we can just go by the y-coordinate over the x-coordinate, or again, the sine divided by cosine. So here, 0 over 1 is 0, so there's your value of tangent. 1 over 0 is undefined. 0 over negative 1 is 0. and -1 over 0 is undefined. So those are all your values around that outer ring of the unit circle that represent tangent. So again, the key is going to be identifying which reference angle you're dealing with, what quadrant that angle is located in, and then using your knowledge for tangent to figure out what your ratio will be. 30 degrees plus or minus √3 over 3, 45 plus or minus 1, 60-degree reference angle plus or minus √3.